Today we're going to unpack the story of Iran's Simorgh transport plane. This is a machine that wasn't just born from engineering blueprints, but from sheer absolute necessity, forged in the fire of international sanctions.
So get this, for more than 40 years, Iran's military has been fighting this quiet war in the sky. And their most critical transport planes, they've been getting grounded, but not by enemies. Nope. They've been grounded by some of the tightest international sanctions the world has ever seen. It's forced them to, quite literally, fly on borrowed time.
And that crisis, this whole fleet on fumes situation, well, that's exactly why the Simorgh even exists. We're talking about a situation so desperate that building a brand new aircraft, that wasn't just some lofty ambition. No, it was a flat-out matter of national survival. Okay, so let's get specific. At the very heart of this problem is the C-130 Hercules. Now, Iran bought its fleet of about 64 of these planes before 1979. These things were only designed to last 30, maybe 40 years tops. Fast forward to today, and crippling sanctions have completely cut off the supply of spare parts. Keeping them in the air is an absolute daily struggle. The result of all that? Only a tiny fraction of the fleet is actually still airworthy.
So how do you keep even that small number in the air? Well, they've had to resort to something called rotating cannibalization. And yeah, it's pretty much exactly what it sounds like. Engineers literally strip parts from planes that are already grounded just to piece together one working aircraft. I mean, it's a stunning display of ingenuity for sure, but it's also a ticking clock. And it's a race you just can't win forever.
Right, so a replacement wasn't just needed, it was absolutely critical. But think about it, building a modern aircraft from scratch while you're under intense sanctions? That's a monumental task. And Iran's first attempt? Well, it ended in a really high-profile failure that almost killed the whole dream before it even got off the ground.
This whole journey actually starts way back in the 90s, with a collaboration called the Iran 140. But honestly, the project was a total disaster. It was crippled by sanctions, sure, but also by a series of fatal crashes that just shattered public trust. But here's the key part. Instead of just giving up, Iranian engineers took all those painful lessons, and in 2016 they started over. They started fresh with the Simorgh project, and that finally led to its first successful flight in 2023.
And we need to be clear, this was no small-scale effort. As the head of Iran's Civil Aviation Authority put it, the Simorgh represents, and I'm quoting here, over 15 years of continuous effort and the commitment of thousands of Iranian engineers. So this is really a story of national perseverance, one literally built on the ashes of a past failure.
Okay, so after all that struggle, after all that time, what did they actually build? Let's dive in and take a closer look at the Simorgh itself and see how this thing is designed to finally solve that decades-old problem. You know, even the name they chose, Simorgh, is a huge statement. In Persian mythology, the Simorgh is this benevolent phoenix-like bird. It's a symbol of rebirth, of strength. So the message couldn't be clearer, right? This aircraft is meant to be the thing that rises from the ashes of all those past failures and sanctions.
So what's this plane all about? Well, at its core, the Simorgh is a tactical workhorse. We're talking a 6-ton payload capacity. Now, what does that mean? It means it can carry light vehicles, some artillery pieces, or about 60 fully equipped troops. That gives the military a ton of flexibility for all sorts of missions.
And its range is just as critical. We're talking 3,900 kilometers. That's enough to cross the entire country without having to refuel. Now, for a nation as vast and with terrain as rugged as Iran's, that kind of logistical reach, that is a strategic game changer, plain and simple.
But you know, its real value is in its versatility. It's got STOL capability, that's short takeoff and landing, which means it can operate from rough, even unprepared runways. That's huge. It's got the big rear cargo ramp, perfect for airdrops or getting paratroopers out the door fast. It can even be reconfigured into a flying ambulance or medevac. See, these aren't just technical specs on a sheet. They are direct solutions to the very real challenges of operating in Iran's geography.
Okay, so we've established it's a capable plane. But you might be wondering, how does one new aircraft really change the big picture for an entire military? Well, the answer isn't just what it is, but how they plan to use it.
The whole strategy is what you could call a layered fleet model. It's pretty smart. The Simorgh becomes the everyday workhorse. It's going to handle all the routine, short-range stuff, troop rotations, delivering cargo to remote bases. And that takes the enormous strain off those few remaining C-130s. Those planes can now be saved, preserved for only the most critical, heavy-lift missions. It's a simple division of labor, but it could extend the life of that irreplaceable Hercules fleet for decades to come.
But the impact of a plane like this, it creates ripples that go far beyond Iran's own borders. First, it's a huge symbol of self-sufficiency. It strengthens their ability to operate independently in the region. And here's a really crucial point. It opens up the possibility of exporting it to other sanctioned nations, places that are also looking for affordable, non-Western military technology.
And affordability is a massive factor here. The Simorgh is estimated to cost less than $25 million a pop. Now, to put that in perspective, that's roughly half the price of a comparable Western aircraft like the C-27J. So if you're a country with a tight defense budget, that is an incredibly attractive proposition.
Okay, but the journey is far, far from over. The Simorgh has flown, which is a huge milestone, yes, but turning one successful prototype into a whole reliable fleet, that is a massive challenge. So let's break down the major hurdles they still have to clear.
First up, you've got certification. It has to complete this grueling 100-hour flight test program. Can it finally shake the ghost of its failed predecessor, the Iran 140? Then there's production. Can they actually establish a stable, scalable production line to build these things consistently and to a high standard? And finally, the big one, funding. Can the program secure the consistent, long-term government money it needs to become a real operational fleet?
Now if, and it's a big if, but if Iran can overcome these hurdles, the Simorgh becomes so much more than just an airplane. It becomes a blueprint. It's proof that a nation can build a modern, homegrown defense industry even when it feels like the rest of the world is actively trying to stop them.
So at the end of the day, the Simorgh is obviously more than just metal and wiring. It's a flying symbol of a national strategy that is built entirely on self-reliance. It's the physical result of decades of defiance, and it kind of leaves us with a really interesting question, doesn't it? When it comes to geopolitics, we always say necessity is the mother of invention, but maybe, just maybe, defiance is too.